Welcome back. We got a lot of earnings coming out tonight, but Facebook already posted strong second quarter earnings last night, pushing past $5 billion FTC fine and increased scrutiny from Capitol Hill. This comes as we await earnings tonight from Amazon and Google parent company Alphabet. That's after the bell tonight. Joining us right now is CFRA Research Senior Equity Analyst John Freeman. John, it's good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
First, your reaction to Facebook. I really want you to look ahead and look at Alphabet and Amazon. But let's first tackle Facebook in terms of those numbers last night. It feels like no matter what you throw at this company, it comes back stronger.
That's right. The business itself is really on rails. One of the things that I think is really interesting and just a very easy driver for growth. If you look at the number of either the daily active users, which came in strong at 1.6 billion, or the monthly active users at 2.4 billion. I mean, that's 2.4 billion. That's a third, a little less a third of the world, or a quarter of the world, and yet there's still, there's still plenty of room to grow there. There's a lot of people that can still grow that. Both of those were up 8%. That ultimately drives revenue. And I think the last thing is that's interesting is the fact that the United States and Canada represent only 10% of the number of Facebook users, but represent the majority, just over the majority of the revenue. The amount of revenue they make per U.S. User in the U.S. is 10 times that what they make the rest of the world, even 3 times what they make in Europe in terms of advertising revenue. So there's a lot. So the rest of the world's got a lot of room to catch up. So I think there's a lot of legs to this growth story.
John, James Freeman from the Wall Street Journal, no relation as far as I know. I'm glad you brought up the user numbers there because you look at this and I suppose you could either say that people don't care as much about the privacy issues as people in the media and in politics do, or you could say this really is a monopoly. People feel like they have no choice. Is there anything you can see in the data to say what users are thinking about all of these issues that have obviously generated so many headlines about the company?
I don't think they think about them much at all. I think the reason, and if you go back to, if you look at the history of this kind of regulation, you go back to Microsoft, right? Nobody cared that Microsoft was going to bundle its browser with its operating system. You're like, oh, that's convenient. It was the competitors of Microsoft that had a problem with it. And this time, it's not really even so much the competitors of Facebook, although I suppose they yap a little bit, but it's the politicians themselves. This is all about the fact that Facebook now wields a tremendous amount of influence and political power, whether they want to or not, and therefore the people who are writing this legislation on the regulator side, people obviously they're motivated by politicians. But the thing that really sort of scares me to the degree that that there's a risk there is the politicians and legislators coming up with new legislation that they are supposedly exploring writing that would regulate Facebook, not in terms of its antitrust situation, but as as I think the wording was something like, as as their influence on society and all of that stuff, right? That's the risk.
John, it's Dagan McDowell. I wonder if all the focus on privacy, the FTC fine, the ongoing probe, the new probe disclosed by the FTC, also the investigation by the Department of Justice, any regulations coming out of Congress, that this actually helps Facebook continue to grow because it wipes away any concerns that people might have about using the service more frequently.
Yes, I think that's true in terms of the privacy side. That I absolutely agree with. But what is a little more problematic, perhaps, with the legislation is if they kind of mess around with or change the law from 1996, the Communications Decency Act, which said that they're not responsible for the content that users post, right? If that kind of changes and they become a little bit more a lot more responsible, or some significant degree more responsible, and they have to hire censors and editors and things like that, that changes the business model. It definitely degrades it, certainly, John, in terms of the quality over time.
Real quick, Alphabet, parent of Google and Amazon tonight, give us your sense. What are you expecting? Real quick.
Well, I just think more of the same for Google. Google's on rails. With Amazon, laser focused. Everybody's laser focused on the cloud business, AWS, and see, that's still growing at 40%, and now represents more than 50%. Yeah, the revenue's growing over 40%, and the revenue and the profits represent more than half of all of Amazon's profits. So it's actually greater than retail now.
Yeah, they're trying to take a bite out of market share, and the big guys, Oracle, Microsoft, SAP, etc. John, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks so much.
No, thank you.
John Freeman joining us there.